Recording process has been drastically different from when we first did it. We were new.
Yeah.
We were new. We didn't really know what to expect at all the first time we went into a recording studio. This is the second time we worked with Jamie, so we knew kind of what to expect. Our music was different this time around. What we wanted production-wise was a little different, so but we did it the same way. We demoed all our songs first, we hashed them all out. We knew it's good to have that vision of what we want it to sound like, even down to like the levels, but it never turns out that way. It's always like way better,
No, I think it's funny, like I don't think we even had an idea of what it's like for a band to be able to, say, book studio time and go into a studio and write a record like that. I don't know. To me, it never occurred to me until we had got to Jamie's and we started learning about other bands. But for us, it just kind of always seemed like that's what you had to do, was sit down and make sure your song was written before going into the studio and doing it. And we've since learned that there's different ways of doing it, but
it'd be cool to be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go in and like write the songs in the studio, but dude,
yeah.
I don't even. That seems like a nightmare. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one of
to like actually get what you want out of it. I mean, I guess I don't have faith in myself enough to write something good in that short a period.
Yeah,
of time.
I think that's the thing. Is like, do you think that you're gonna be able to come up with your best stuff with that deadline? You know, I think that when we book the studio time and we have that deadline, there is something to say about it. Pushes us. But if we were to write in the studio, I don't know. I think we're a little bit more meticulous with how we do things. So I don't know if that would work very well.
I mean, we shoot down 99.9%
Yeah.
of our ideas. I mean, I'm sure that's how it is with most musicians, I would imagine.
It depends on the genre, I'm sure, too,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something liberating about being able just to go in there and, like, lay down your ideas and be like, well, that's what that thing was, but I don't know. To me, like, traditionally, an album is like you've struggled a lot to get to your finished product. And then there's something, beautiful in the struggle kind of thing. So
I think, too, as an independent band, I mean, we've always kind of had to, do what we could to make the best product, but we necessarily didn't, have the opportunity to go into a studio and just, like, hang out for a month or two and write music. It would have been cool. By the time we were able to start working with Jamie next time around, it was really cool to be in a room with somebody who had done metal before, had worked with bands that we really looked up to, and then at the end of the day, we could drive 5 minutes down the road back home. So we were able to have this hometown kind of connection with Jamie, which is always cool, and we, still love and appreciate it to this day. I mean, we went to school right across the street from where he lives, so growing up in the same town with somebody that you're able to work with on such a deep level to create something is, I think, we really appreciate that part of it. And so
yeah, it's all the ties with Jamie. Like, he played Swift. Ben and I used to skateboard, and we used to listen to like Swift, and it's just crazy that we get to record, and then
like big fans of his band. You know what I mean? Like serious fans. And my first show was Glass Casket, down at Ziggy's here in Winston-Salem, and Glass Casket ends up,
I think they're about to come out with a new album.
Yeah, they are coming back. But anyway, they ended up, some of the members creating Between the Buried and Me. So, Jamie being their longtime producer, we look at bands like that, and we look at those guys in particular, and Jamie's career, and it's just something that's really inspiring, because you see guys that come from the same town that you're coming from and doing the same thing that you want to do. I know a lot of times it feels like you're on an island these days, so to know people in real life and not just on the internet that are doing sort of the similar stuff that you're doing is cool.
I had a lot of respect and admiration for Jamie before I even met him, because of the work that he did with bands like The Contortionist and Between the Buried and Me. And that also, I guess, there were some nerves there, because some of those albums were like legendary to me, and just the thought of being in the same space they were recorded in was intimidating. And I definitely did not feel worthy.
the time and effort and work and just endless hours, it's kind of tough to get a grasp on that until you're actually in it. I'd say just the amount of work that goes into doing this stuff is something that you can't really envision, especially as a kid, until you really get into it.
The first song that came together was Learning to Sleep, and I remember Jared called it the Linkin Park song. I remember it was definitely something different than we had ever really done. It had kind of an upbeat feel to it. It was, not super proggy by any means. And I remember that coming together, and Skull Beneath the Smile. So Learning to Sleep and Skull Beneath the Smile were the first two songs that came together. There's always that part of the songwriting process where the first song or the first two songs come together and Ben finishes his part and they're a full demo, and then we can listen back and kind of start to realize what it is we're even doing. The last song I want to say was Alchemy, and we finished Alchemy I think like the week that we were going in to record. We ended up wrapping that up actually very quickly. I remember from the moment the first part of the song came together, and it was the I want to say it was the verse of the song. From that point, it may have been like 3 or 4 days of writing, of working on that song, and it was a fully realized instrumental demo.
Instrumentally, Catch Your Death, I believe, was the first one that we finished. I think I remember Tyler saying something that like the bass tapping thing was the first idea that we had down for the album or something like that. I don't know, but Catch Your Death was the first, and I'm pretty sure Alchemy was the last song that we had gotten done. I think instrumental. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of gets fuzzy after so much time. I do remember particularly the first vocal track that I sat down and worked on was Learning to Sleep. That just being the first of the batch of songs, and then if I'm not mistaken, the third song we ended up finishing and putting vocals on the Sight to Sound, becoming the title track of the record. And it was just a really pivotal moment for me when I stepped back after we were finished with the song. I saw this clear idea of sort of what the song was about and the meaning behind it, and it really set the tone, at least lyrically speaking, for sort of the concept of the rest of the record and how it came together, and the idea of what Sight to Sound even means personally and to the band. So that was a really exciting thing as well. But like you said, Tyler has a little bit of a better memory sometimes when it comes to songs and when the way they come together. I think the writing process gets a little smoky sometimes.